Hello everyone, and welcome to this Sunday's I was gonna say bring your own project, but welcome to Paint With Me Live. Sundays is the day that I work on my dream project, the Cosmic Gateways Tarot, and of course this Sunday is no exception to that. Before we get into our live stream, I'm holding the mic. I don't know why, because I'll be setting it down here in a second, but before we get into our live stream, please do me a huge favor and hit the like button if this is the kind of stream that you're interested in, that you would like to see more live creation videos and things like that. That helps me out a whole lot. I do have a goal of reaching 1,000 subscribers. I know I ain't asked y'all how you're doing before I start asking for something, but I didn't want to forget to do that. So please do me a huge favor and hit the like button. And if you have not yet subscribed to the channel, I would love to have you join the channel, because we have so much more coming and I'm really excited about where we're going. Hey TN lady. Okay, TN lady says, hey Brittany, how is the weather in your area? I'm still snowed in. I am still very much snowed in. We're gonna work. I'm gonna talk about it here in a bit, but we're gonna be working on the 5 of Cups from the Cosmic Gateways Tarot. So because I've been snowed in, I've made some huge leaps and bounds in this particular card that I'm really proud of. If you guys were here with me on Wednesday, I worked on it a little bit instead of the 5 of Wands, which was the card that I dedicated to Wednesday streams. But today we're doing the 5 of Cups. So yeah, I'm currently in Memphis, Tennessee. For you, those of you who are new here, welcome. I am in Memphis, Tennessee. We had the snowstorm started, I feel like last Friday, something like that, last Friday or Saturday. And I want to correct myself. It's not a snowstorm. It's very much ice. I think if it was snow, we'd probably be in much better conditions. But currently, outside of my window, things are looking a little bit better. But I don't feel comfortable driving anywhere, because it's 3 to 4 inches of super thick ice right outside of my home, in the road outside of my house. So we are snowed in. But TN lady, how are you? How is the weather where you are? Where are you? And how is the weather? And if you guys are joining me from all over, I'd love to know how you are, where you are, and how the weather is faring in your town, in your city, and all of that. I'm a homebody, so for me, it takes me a minute before I get stir crazy. So it's been all right. You know what I mean? As a part of prepping for the snowstorm, I don't think I went overboard. We weren't buying things that we couldn't use and all that. Okay, 10 ladies in Nashville. So I hear Nashville has had a lot of power outages. Have you experienced that as well, or is that something? Is it better? How is that going? But yeah, we prepped. I did my normal grocery shopping, and I made sure to add a few days extra meal for meals and things like that. I didn't buy as many snacks as I wish I had, but we did good with the food. Normally in Memphis, what we'll experience is one of two things, if not both. There usually are power outages throughout the city, and then in the area that I live in, for the last few years, we've experienced water main breaks, right? So this year is maybe the second year we've had in a long time where this year's the first I know of there wasn't any huge power outages, and then we had water. So we had electricity, we had water. I'm grateful to still have internet and all of that. So I call that a blessing, I would say. So I'm super grateful for that. So TN lady says it's better, the lights are finally back on. Okay. Real happy to hear that. Yeah, I think one of the things, this is how you have to kind of tailor your life away from the internet, right? Because as they were advertising this, or they were sort of, advertising, I guess, the snowstorm, a lot of the sentiments for people that lived in Tennessee, which is a huge state, by the way, for those of you who are not familiar with just how big Tennessee is. I live in West Tennessee, in Memphis. I grew up in Southeast Tennessee at that. It takes me about 5 hours to drive from where I live to my hometown. So it's a huge state, right? And in that, our state has lots of different sort of landscapes. So where I grew up, there were lots of mountains and hills and things like that. The city that I grew up in sits kind of in a valley, so there's mountains around it, but it does sit in a valley, which I think helps the weather out quite a bit. And then where I went to college, we were in the mountains. And then here in Memphis, where I live, it's completely flat. So whenever we get snow here or ice here, it tends to be extremely bad because we don't have that landscape of the mountains, that shelter of the mountains to kind of keep things calm, right? So I was seeing a lot of talk across the state from people in different parts of the state, and and I think it came from a lot of younger people, because I think people who are old enough who had lived through certain weather events here in Tennessee know how bad it can get. But the sentiment was, why are y'all buying up such and such, and why are y'all doing this and doing that? But our state is not immune to real bad weather. Right? And me, in my specific area, I know, again, we've had lots of years, quite a few years in recent years, where we have not had water and have had issues with like blackouts and things like that. So for me, it was better to have extra than to need and not need it, than to need it and not have it. So I'm real blessed and fortunate for the clarity and the foresight to like buy extra food, So we're good through the week. Through this week. So after this week, I'm hoping that conditions get better so that we can go back out to the grocery stores and continue to live life. But yeah, we still snowed in. It's people moving out and about. That's another thing within the same city, right? Depending on where you are in Memphis. For some people, they don't have issues moving around. I can think because of the main roads, from what I hear, are very clear. But for me, I have to get to you have to survive the trek to the main roads in order to sort of experience that. So for the time being, I have everything that I need here at home. So I'm real happy for that. So we just gonna be sitting still and creating. And I like this because, I don't care for the snow and the ice, but I do like being able to sort of sit still, because my creativity has been in like overdrive. So I have had lots of inspiration come through, which I'm really, really excited about. And for me, it's one of those things where, of course, we don't want to lean into motivation and things like that. You want to lean into your discipline when it comes time to create or to do or whatever it is you have in life. But whenever inspiration strikes, I feel like it's really important to either act on that inspiration, like just do the thing you're inspired to do, or to write it down in as much detail as you can, or to like do sketches if you're drawing, if you're doing photography, whatever it is. But just take it out of your mind a bit so that you can continue to get that inspiration, and then when you have time, work on that. So I have been, again, my creativity has been in hyperdrive, just because I can't be distracted with like moving around a lot. I'm here at home, so it's been either I'm working on Cosmic Gateways Tarot, planning out other projects so that I can share that process with you guys, planning out other projects, or I've been like, chilling, playing a game. I have where is it? I have my Game Boy Color. So I've been playing like Game Boy Color, playing PlayStation and all of that, just kind of allowing myself to relax and enjoy like the time off. I think sometimes as adults, because we're always in go mode, it is easy to get sort of distracted, but also to kind of beat yourself up if you're not being productive, right? It's real easy to go stir crazy if you're used to always being busy. So just sort of having this break and allowing myself to rest, right, and reset my nervous system, and all of that has been really nice. And again, making some really good progress on this particular card. And I haven't made as much progress on the other that I'm working on, because I'm doing 2 at a time. But just to get some of this stuff done has been really nice. So I'll actually zoom out really quickly before I get to working on this vase to show you what all I've done on this card. And then we will just pick back up. So I believe where we left off is we were working on the Buddha, right? So I had the spheres completed, and I also had a part of the Buddha done. I just turned off the sketch just so you guys can have an idea of what it looks like without the cushion of the lines. So it looks really good. During the Wednesday stream, I think Tuesday after the live stream last Sunday, Tuesday I came back and worked on the fish. I really liked how that was going. And I wanted to finish that up. So Wednesday stream, rather than work on the 5 of Wands, because I still have to finish drawing it, right? I'm adding costume and things like that to the characters. I wanted to go ahead and complete this. So I did that. I completed the fish, and then I was watching something on YouTube, and I completed the fertility statue. So we only have a few odds and ends to add to this background. Now, you may notice, or you may not, I don't know, but you may notice that each of these items, they don't really have a shadow, which kind of anchors it to the shelf that it's in. I'm kind of saving that for last, because I would like to be able to do like the background of these shelves, do the wood of the shelves, and then place the shadows in. I do have lines for like walls and things like that sketched in, but I'm not really sure how well I like that idea yet. So what I'm doing is just kind of filling in this space, filling in the information for all of the items that I have on the bookshelves and things like that, and then I'll come back and like do the finishing details and all of like the shadows underneath each item to anchor them to this bookshelf. So I'm really happy about that. The other thing I added to this illustration were the cups from the Two of Cups. So I just used the same goblets for the ones on the bookshelf. What I wanted to do was keep them pretty much the same as they were in the Two of Cups. I kept the liquid inside, and I haven't really done anything extra to them yet. I think for the two that are sitting on the countertop themselves, I'll probably leave them as they are. But the three that are spilled over, what I'll do is, of course, add some liquid to the floor. I'll probably change some of the highlights and shadows, and of course add shadows where they are resting or like hitting a surface. And then I'll probably darken the inside because these are supposed to be empty cups, right? So I'll work on that as we progress through this. But yeah, I'm very, very excited with the way that this is coming together. So this week for me, I hope you guys have had a good week, whether you've been snowed in with or without power, with or without some of the other essentials that you may need. I hope that otherwise it's been a great week for you. For me, it's been a lot of fun, again, because creativity has just been in overdrive. I did a podcast with my husband, which is something I don't typically do. So that was a lot of fun to do. He has a podcast that he does on occasion where he talks about like nostalgia shows or like things we grew up with. I think him and my son, when he was my son had to been 8 or 9 or so, something like that, did one about Doug, Nickelodeon and Disney Doug. He's done one on the Goonies, just a whole bunch of different things, but we did one on Sinners. So that was a lot of fun. So it was really nice to be able to talk about that and kind of be in his space. You know what I mean? So one of the things that we do very well for each other is kind of allow each other to have our own interests and things like that. So I'm not generally on like his podcast, and he's of course not generally on my live streams and things like that. He does show up in ways, right? But just to kind of keep that private, I won't show you how or explain how he shows up. But he's a great supporter, so I was very, very excited to do the podcast with him. The problem with it was that because the way that he structures his podcast is that he usually plays like clips of whatever we're talking about. So if it's Doug, he'll play like the Disney Doug theme song, things like that. So for the Sinners podcast, we were playing clips from the movies and then just kind of talking about the movie. But because of course it is copyrighted and someone else's intellectual property, we got into a little bit of a riff because of the copyrights, and so they had to take it down. But like, it was a good episode. Right? I was actually waiting until today to share that with you guys so you guys could go and listen, but I don't know that it's up. If it is, I'll leave a link to it in the description below, just in case you are curious about our thoughts on the movie. It was fun to do. It was a whole lot of fun to do. I think for us both, I think of course we were both very big fans of the movie, very much inspired by the movie. For me, it was one of those types of projects where you sort of consume it, but it inspires you to do more. So it's very inspiring just to see someone else do something that clearly they're passionate about, because clearly Ryan Coogler had a lot of love for the subject matter, for the culture that he expressed in that particular film. And I think that is shining through. So just to be able to see someone else do that, and he's in like my generation, so we're near, if not the same age. I don't know how old Ryan Coogler is, but I'm assuming like late 30s. So just to see someone else succeed in that way and to continue to tell original stories and things like that, to me, that's always going to be an inspiration. I'm always sort of inspired by people who dare to be different, right? And not different for the sake of being different, but just different because they're doing the thing that they like to do or the thing that they want to see done and all of that. So to me, that's always going to be quite inspiring to consume, quite to witness and things like that. So we had a really good chat about it. It was really cool because I think we were both kind of nervous. I think he was scared I was gonna get the cutting up. Of course, I know how to act, y'all. I know how to act. So he was probably scared I was going to get the cutting up. But we did real good. We had a really good talk. So if that is still available to listen to, I'll be sure to link that down in the description so that you guys can check it out. it was nice. It was really, really nice. It really was. So that was a great way to sort of be productive and creative while we're snowed in, and to do something fun and to talk about something that we both, of course, thoroughly enjoyed. So aside from that, of course, I have been getting some things together for some long form YouTube videos. That is something that I used to do quite a bit. I didn't ever talk on them though, right? So you guys can go back and watch some of those old videos that I have up on the channel. I was too shy and scared to be on camera, right? I don't know why, now that I have gotten really used to the streaming space and being able to talk and sort of make mistakes and all of that through the process of streaming and creating live. But I am working on sort of jumping back into that, showing you guys again how I study, how I plan. I have a painting that I would like to complete, so I want to show you how I do like color studies for it. Sometimes what happens for me is that as I am sort of just doing mundane activities, inspiration will strike and like I'll get an idea for something. Now, because of the way the idea went for my original idea for the 5 of Wands, I knew that this picture that I was wanting to draw felt like an artist that it was very much inspired by an artist that I admire, right? So I wanted to make sure that I know that this is what this artist creates. I want to make sure that I'm not sort of remembering something that they've done and just recreating it for myself. So I did go back and do my due diligence to make sure that I'm not just stealing somebody else's idea, which happens, sometimes we have similar ideas and things like that, but thankfully that wasn't the case. I'm real happy about that. So I will share with you guys the process of how I plan for like traditional art paintings, right? Also, I've mentioned quite a bit before that I would love to show you guys how I study something new. So for instance, specifically when it comes to landscapes and doing landscapes and things like that, that is an area of art that I know for sure I find challenging. Abstract is another thing that I find really challenging. I don't do very well in abstracted spaces. It's in terms of like creating abstract art, but it's also not something that I'm super interested in enough to study it. But because I am creating this particular project and because I know landscapes come up a lot and I do make my way through them quite well, I would say. I do kind of I finesse it a bit. I would like to be able to create landscapes in a way that doesn't take me so long, right? So for instance, the last card that we completed was the 4 of Wands, and that was a landscaped, a very heavily landscaped, or like it just had a lot of foliage and things like that, and it took me about 70 hours to complete. Now I'm very happy with the way that it turned out. I would love to know how to create foliage without it taking so long, right? Or doing it in a way that still gives me the same result, again speeding up the process quite a bit. And I think that has to do with my understanding of how to create those types of images. So I just kind of want to show you how I study a new sort of art form or a new sort of aspect of illustration. Now, I also have some other interests and things like that. I'm not really sure if I want to share those interests in this particular space, specifically when it comes to like photography, because we've talked a little bit about me going to a photography club with my son. Photography is something that I've loved for a really long time. I don't see myself as a serious photographer by any means, but in terms of like keeping photo records, I'm the person in my family that used to take all the pictures, right? I got pictures of all my nieces and nephews, or I would say most of them, not all, but I do have pictures of the majority of my nieces and nephews over the years. I really got into it in college. I would say I had like a little small point and shoot digital camera. Then as I got older, of course, I had a business in my early 20s. And so I needed to create photos or high quality photos of the products. And so that was one of the first times I actually took it seriously, right? So I was able to sort of pose and create scenes and things like that, which I think there is some overlap when it comes to illustration and graphic design, which of course are two different things. But there is some overlap in that, right? And so the interest just kind of came back up just because my son is showing interest in it, and I know that I have all kinds of equipment and stuff that I could share with him in that realm. So that's something that we can do. My husband also does photography, so we're like a household of photographers. But I'm much more, it is for me much more a hobby than something like I do seriously. But it's just something I have been enjoying lately, just sort of, I think as a side effect of going to photography club, which is hosted by our local libraries here in Memphis. And just sort of being in the space of people who are at all kinds of different levels. Some who are running businesses as photographers, some who are like just, like me, just like taking pictures and things like that, and then pulling out all of that old equipment and sharing that with my kid has been really nice, right? So we've gone through a whole rabbit hole. Again, kind of being snowed in has definitely given me the free time to be able to dig into a lot of this stuff, right, that I would otherwise probably be too busy to do. So that's been nice. So there's a silver lining, right, in being snowed in. Of course, I would like to get out, but again, I'm naturally a homebody anyway, so it don't bother me none at all to be home. So it just has, again, given me the opportunity to explore a lot of those things, right, and to kind of be very deliberate about how I spend my time and what things I give my attention to. And so I hope to share with you some of that. Again, I don't know yet if I want to share like the photography on this particular outlet, or if that's even something I would like to share at all. I just like being able to show you guys that it's okay to have different interests, right? That it's okay to explore different areas of creativity. And again, what I'm finding is there's so much overlap. So for instance, the last photography club that we had was, I think the week before last. We were supposed to have one this past Saturday, which leaned into filmmaking, which was, I found to be really intriguing, right? We didn't get a chance to go and do that because the road conditions are so bad. So I'm not really sure if that got canceled or not. But just showing you guys that it's okay to have interests. It's okay to explore different things. It's okay to sort of take a chance on yourself and to just be creative, even if it's just for fun. That's okay, right? I think as adults, again, we get too caught up in our responsibilities, too caught up in being super serious all the time, that we kind of forget to we forget what it is to be a kid and just to explore the world with open eyes and with brand new eyes and kind of take a chance on ourselves, and knowing that it's okay not to have all the answers. Right? Just because we're grown doesn't mean that we know it all, right? So being okay to learn new skills and being okay to just explore different parts of the world, I feel like that makes life fulfilling, as opposed to always concerning ourselves with our responsibilities, with our bills, right? With all of the things that we have to deal with as adults. So yeah, it's been a nice week. I gotta say, it's been a great week. I have gotten quite a bit done, got a lot of dreaming done, got a lot of playing done, been eating real good. All of that. So I'm real happy to hear that TN Lady, you in Nashville, I'm happy to hear that conditions are getting better for you there. I'm gonna tell you how erratic Memphis weather is. So yesterday I think the high was like 21 degrees, if that. I think 18 to 21, something like that. This week we're expected to have 60-degree weather. Right, so it's a little wonky. I'm hoping though, with that 60-degree weather, this ice clears up extremely fast, because it is just so thick and it's so dangerous, right? It's very, very dangerous to drive in and to be in and all of that, because I think the second night that we had the snow and ice and sleet and all of that, there was this big old boom. Right? So I was like, oh man, somebody's tree done fell. It was so close that you could feel it, and I was like, I hope that's not in our yard. I hope that ain't in our yard. I hope that's not in in our neighbor's yard or anything like that. One of our neighbors let us know that there was a building. I guess they were building a house or something down the street. And I always call them matchbox houses, because they ain't nothing but some 2x4s and plywood and all of that. But it ended up falling and crashing and just from the weight of the ice. So people are always sort of making fun of people in the South for freaking out over snowstorms. It's not the snow. We can deal with the snow. It's the ice. Right? So it's all ice. So it's auto saving now. So I'm going to show you guys really quickly what the Cosmic Gateways Tarot looks like. We haven't done that in a while. Now I am at 42 cards deep in this deck. There are going to be 78 cards in total. So that I'm currently working on card number 42 or 43 and 44. So we have 42 cards completed. So I'm super excited about that. So that means that we're making some progress. Now, as we near sort of the end of the illustration process, I will need to begin to think about what I want my backs to look like. So I'll give you a great example for those of you who can see the camera. I know that we have people who are watching through the shorts feed. So if you're watching through the shorts feed, I would kindly suggest clicking on my profile, and I think you'll get like the full picture. But just to give you an idea of what I'm talking about. So each card has a front, right? So this is from the Crow Tarot, has a front. This is the King of Pentacles. It has a front, and then on the back, it has a back pattern, right? This one is from Animal Spirit Oracle. It has a front, which is each of the individual cards. So that's what we're kind of working on now, the individual cards. But each card has a back. So when people are, or if you are interested in having a deck done, you have to not only take into consideration the number of front facing cards that you have, but you also have a back facing illustration. So for instance, if you were commissioning a 78 card tarot deck, you're actually going to be paying for 79 illustrations plus whatever licensing and all of that. So as we get nearer to the end of this project, I'll be sort of might share the process of that. I'm not really sure. That is one of the things that I did try earlier on. I have no idea yet how I would like to depict the back. I don't know if I want to do a pattern or sort of a something abstract, which again is not is not necessarily in my realm of expertise. I don't know if I want to do symbols or anything like that. We'll just kind of see. The further I go into the minor arcana cards, which are all of the numbers, think like your normal playing cards where you have 4 suits, and then each suit has numbers ace through 10, and then you have the Jack, King, and Queen. Same thing with tarot. You have the ace through 10, and then you have the page, Knight, King, and Queen in tarot. So those are the minor arcana cards. But with each one, there are going to be some repeating elements. So for instance, in this one, I'm using the cups from the 2 of Cups. But all of the cups don't look the same, right? So for the 4 of Cups, for instance, we use singing bowls. And I imagine some other vessels will kind of take shape in these cards as I continue to tell stories through the cards. So I'm going to wait until about the end to start working on the backs. I also have to design the packaging and have to figure out what kind of packaging I would like. So far, my thought is to have they have a box that has like a magnetic flap, and then it opens up and there's a ribbon you pull out your cards. That's what I'm leaning towards, but we'll see what's available when I get to that stage. So this year I have a plan of, or have a goal of, or I guess a plan to, of creating and completing 15 cards. 18 would be great because 18 would be the halfway point between what I have left to do. So I have 36 cards left to do. So if I can complete 18 cards this year, I only have 18 to do next year. But not to give myself too much, put too much pressure on myself, I would like to complete 15. So we're working on 2 cards at a time. Last year when I did that, that helped me get through the cards extremely fast. Anytime I have like one of those long drawn out cards like the 4 of Wands, which is what kind of held us up last year, that does give me a little bit of a respite, so I don't have to worry about planning ahead so much. But to kind of help me out, I did. I did exactly that. I planned the next 8 cards, so this card and then 7 others. I have not sketched them all, but I do have plans for them all. So that kind of helps as well. So we're making our way through this. Now I know that there have been people who have been following this project since the very beginning. I'm so grateful to have you. I'm so thankful for your patience, right? And I hope that the way that this shapes up is what you dreamed of. I certainly hope it is what I dreamed of. There's so much love and thought that goes into each of these cards. And if you're new here, I'm really happy to have you. I'm really glad that you guys found me. So that is one of the reasons why I have a goal of reaching 1,000 subscribers, because I would really like for more people to sort of learn about this deck. So one of the ways that you guys can help, right? I'm trying to get into the habit of like being okay with asking for help. So here we go. One of the ways that you guys can help me out, right? Aside from the likes, aside from the follows and all of that, it's just to spread the word about this deck. If there's a card that you like, and you think other people would like, or if you know people who may be into this particular subject matter, who just like art and black art and all of that. And speaking of, happy Black History Month, right? But if you know people who are sort of interested in this sort of art form and this kind of project, tell them about it. Right? Word of mouth helps me out so much in ways that I cannot quite express in words. I know that, just speaking of word of mouth, one of the biggest factors in my business when it was doing very well was that a lot of my clients came through word of mouth. So there's so much power in word of mouth, right? So if you can't afford to buy the artwork, that's okay. If you can't afford to buy a canvas print or t-shirt and all of that, that's perfectly okay. You can help me out by telling more people about the art that I create. That helps me out tremendously, right? That helps me out so much. So if you could do that, that would be awesome. I know there are some people who have contributed so much to this, just to my morale, right? Just from sharing the artwork, from sort of talking about it and putting it in spaces that I may not have thought to put the artwork in. Those people, I see you. I appreciate you so much from the bottom of my heart. To me, that is support, right? I know a lot of people will say, well, I support you. I do this, that. That's how I would appreciate the support. Mention me in rooms that I may not be in, right? Or I may not have access to. That would help me out so much. And I would appreciate it so much. So I would love to get to 1,000 subscribers, just so this channel can reach more people, so they can find out more about the artwork, so I can create a space for you guys as well to share your projects and the things that you're passionate about and all of that. That is so important to me, right? So it takes a village, and I would kindly and graciously ask you guys to help me out in that regard. And I appreciate each and every one of you guys for watching, whether you're watching this live or the replay, whether you're here because you're being nosy, right? Or whether you're here because you enjoy the work, or you just want to see what I got going on, or whatever the case is. I do appreciate each and every one of you guys for showing up. It means a lot, right? So that is my request. So when I say hit the like button, it's not just an arbitrary thing. I do want this to reach as many people as it can that will resonate with it, right? So I think sometimes people kind of fall into the trap of wanting everybody to see the work. I want the right people to see it. So if you know people who would love this kind of artwork, if you know people who are interested in tarot, or maybe just curious about it, or want to learn more about it, or learn more about illustration and creating art and being a professional artist, or any of that, send them on over. Right? Let me know, let them know that they are welcome here, and I would love to have them here. And I want to thank you guys in advance, right? All right, so to speak to what I'm actually doing on screen, I am just kind of painting what I see, right? When I went to sketch this vase, I did this in a way where I don't have to paint this twice. I can just paint it once and duplicate it and just make certain tweaks to get bounce light and all of that, right? But what I did was I actually created some little ridges and guidelines and things like that, so I can kind of see where light and shadow falls, and then in that I can just kind of paint what I see as close as I can. Now we're zoomed into this really closely. I don't know how big it's showing up on your screen, but for me, I'm pretty close to it. We're zoomed in pretty tough, right? I have to keep in mind, or I have a little bit of leeway, because this is a small element on a larger picture, but the picture itself is still not that big, right? So earlier I showed you guys the Crow Tarot. So just to give you an idea of how small the cards are, these are some test prints that I did, right? I did these back in 2021. So I've been working on this project since 2019. I've been working on this project since late 2019. This is about the average size of a tarot card, right? So this is pretty small. I'm putting a lot of effort into details because I know that at a certain point I could probably blow these images up and of course sell them as canvas prints and things like that. But ultimately, they're going to be about this big. Now this is slightly smaller than the size that I'm aiming for. Tarot has a standard size. This is the standard size card. But if I'm holding this up to my face, you can't really see a whole lot of the small intricacies and things like that. Now this is the size of the card that I am going for, also from the Cosmic Gateways Tarot. This is also a test print that I did. This is the Queen of Cups. Hopefully it'll zoom in. This is the Queen of Cups from the same project. Now the test print that I had professionally did is the Strength card here, and then behind it is the Queen of Cups. So you can kind of see the difference in sizes. But I say all that to say that these are relatively small pieces of artwork, right? So I have a little, that gives me a little bit of a buffer, so that I don't have to be too precious about the details. I don't have to be too exact or anything like that. Now, where it does help me out is if I decide to later on, of course, blow it up or like create journals or things like that. So I'll give you a great example because I have a couple of them here, right? So this is a journal with the Hermit. Now this illustration comes from this project, right? So this is from the Cosmic Gateways Tarot. This is the Hermit, this is the journal, and this is how it's able to blow up a small card, right, into something larger. And you can see the details if it's something like this. So this is what those journals look like. This sticker is just to let me know that this is a sample, so that when I take it to conventions and things like that, I don't sell this one particular one. But this is just an example of some of the sort of enlarging that I can do because I work at a much larger resolution in a much larger size. I also have things like the Judgment. So this is another one of the cards from this project that is available, as well as the High Priestess, which is also a journal. So in that, I can spend the time on the details. And for some cards, such as the Four of Wands, that is something that I wanted to really do, is put those really good details in it, because I could see that could be a standalone piece of artwork, right? But for something like this, I don't necessarily have to. It's not something that I have to do. It's just a matter of making the decision. Now, I'm looking around because I placed my stylus down and I have no idea where I put it. And I'm just running off at the mouth and can't find it. So we're going to look for that, and then we're going to keep it moving. So in the meantime, in between time, for those of you who are joining us again, I'll let you see what those Cosmic Gateways Tarot look like. I'm going to mute it real quick while I find this stylus that I literally just sat down and I can't find. So this is the Cosmic Gateways Tarot, and I'll be right back when I find it. Found it. I saw someone do a video recently, and it was like they had a pen or a pencil that they had sat down, and as soon as they turned their backs, like the pencil disappeared. That's exactly what happened, because I was like, I know I put the thing down somewhere. But again, we have 42 cards complete, so we got another couple of years, I would say, conservatively on this, and maybe that's a little optimistic. We'll see how it goes. But if I am able to complete 18 cards this year, then we'll be in really good time. I just feel like sometimes I've experienced myself sort of beat myself up about taking as long as it's taken to do it. I've had people sort of DM me and like, what's taking so long and all of that. But to me, I don't know. I think it all sort of is working out in divine timing, right? I just think like it's working out the way that it's working out. It gives me an opportunity to take my time with it. Gives me the opportunity to create exactly what it is that I want to create, right? So this is my this is my College Dropout album, for those of you Kanye West fans. This is that right? This is the one that I'm taking my time with, and want to make sure that everyone is aware that it exists, and that it gets out to the right people who can resonate with it, who will enjoy it, and all of that. So that's where we are here, and that's again where you guys come in. If you know someone you think may enjoy this type of project, this type of artwork, whether that is in the form of the tarot deck itself, whether that is in the form of the canvas prints or the journals and things like that, let people know, right? That helps me. That is so invaluable, right? I know that making sales and things like that is always nice. It always feels good to have. But honestly, I would really enjoy having more people become aware of this particular project, so that we can get it out to people, so they can leave Memphis, right? So people can enjoy it and become something that people use and talk about and things like that. Now, when it comes to subject matter for this particular project, I remember when I first started it, I did not have a plan. Like I just jumped straight into the deep end, right? Which is something that I have done in real life. Just went and jumped into the deep end. I was like, I'm either gonna sink or swim. So I jumped right in head first, and I didn't necessarily have a plan right out. Hey, Draw Sketchbook, I'm so happy to see you. I didn't have a plan, so but as it progressed, I knew for a fact that I wanted this to be like a positive representation of the African diaspora across the globe, right? So I wanted to make sure that, especially considering this is something that generally is used in spiritual spaces, it's not the only use for tarot, and I know that it is not, super spiritual people aren't the only ones who are using the medium. But what I had found is that most representations of Black people in the spiritual space, whether that's through religion, whether that is through philosophy or anything like that, they tend to err on the side of darkness or wrongness or trauma and all of that kind of thing. So this is my attempt at sort of showing something else, right? Showing the possibility of greatness, giving sort of a space for just, again, positive representation without the woe is me. Now, not to say that the woe is me is not relevant, not to say that that those things should not be shared and depicted and talked about and all of that, because there is still so much ignorance around the things that especially Black Americans have endured. There's so much ignorance around that, right? But I just feel like this for me wasn't the time to express that. And I do know that there is so much, so many other people who speak to those topics far better than I can or would. And so I just wanted to create, again, that positive representation that is super important to me. Super duper important to me. So in that is not to say that we won't share or showcase like things that are hard and heavy, especially when we get into the swords of this particular deck. Even this card itself, this card is a card of grief. This card is a card of grief. So anytime we have something like that come up, I don't want to shy away from it, right? I do want to give it its proper respect, and I definitely want to figure out a way to tell that story slightly different than some of the things that we're used to seeing. But I also just wanted the overall tone of this project to be love, right? To be love, to be expansion, to be growth, to be harmony and balance and all of those things. But that also includes some of the darker things. I just didn't want that to be the overall tone of this project. So yeah, it is a project and a labor of love. I do put a lot of myself into these cards, into the illustrations. Because I can only speak to my own personal experience. I do not feel like I am like an anomaly, right? I don't feel like I'm the only one who has had certain experiences, or I'm the only one who sees or wants to see certain kinds of art. I don't think I am that arrogant, right? I think it is arrogant to feel like that. A lot of times in spiritual spaces, you always hear things like chosen ones and all that egoic talk. I don't feel that way. I just feel like I know if I want to see something, somebody else wants to see it as well. That's how I feel, right? So I am taking my time with it. It is taking a lot of time to do. Again, being snowed in kind of helped me out a whole lot, because I'm able to focus on being creative and taking chances and sort of working on it while I'm binge watching whatever show I'm binge watching. I just finished Quantum Leap, which is, I think they canceled it 2022 or something like that, but I just enjoyed that so much. Right? I was binge watching Once Upon a Time there for a while, until it started to get on my nerves. And it was like, okay, let me go find something else to watch, So we've I've really been able to sort of take advantage of this time that we have, kind of sitting still and enjoying it and finding like the silver lining in it, and continuing to work. So I hope that you guys, whether you're snowed in, whether you're watching this live or the replay, I hope that you guys are spending some time to bet on yourself and to try new things and to explore your creativity, right? To explore your creativity, to explore your goals, or to set goals, or to research, how to get from point A to B in whatever it is that you want to accomplish in your life. I hope that you're taking the time to do that. It is going to take some time to do it, right? We can dream as big as we want to, but you have to sort of put action to it. You have to kind of do the thing that you want to do, even if it's just researching it, right? Even if it's just having conversations about it, even if it's just speaking it out loud. You kind of have to do the thing, right? You have to do something towards it in order for you to get it done. Now, baby steps are perfectly okay. Sometimes we get into this idea that, if it's not working out super fast, then we're failing at it. And it's okay. Small progress is just as important as these huge leaps and bounds. So just bet on yourself. Take your time, right? Try something new. Allow yourself to be a kid again just for a moment, and keep going, right? Now, of course, the world is on fire, but I feel like it's always on fire. I feel like something's always going on. So in that, It's okay to empathize. It's okay to sympathize. It's okay to fight the good fight if that's what you feel called to do. But you also have to take care of yourself, your own well-being, your own mental, your own sort of goals and things like that as you're fighting, right? As you're doing that. So, I hope you guys have had a great week. It's been a whole lot better. Thank goodness, child. Thank goodness. I'm glad for that. I'm just really, really glad that we still have power and water and food. I'm really thankful for that. And just sort of having the clarity of doing what was best for my family and not necessarily what the internet said to or not to do, right? Because you will hear again when they were advertising or sort of sharing the storm, there was a whole lot of like, y'all know we ain't gonna get nothing. And for some people they didn't. For some people it wasn't that bad. But I happen to know for the last couple years, we've got ice storms, and it has gotten bad to the point where we may not have water, right? We may not have lights, and we just in the house cold. So thankfully, it didn't get that bad this year for us here in Memphis. I'm sorry to hear that Nashville has had some power outages and things like that, but I'm really, really glad to hear that they're rectifying that. The South is we're just not sort of equipped for extreme weather conditions in the winter, right? We could deal with summer all day long. We could deal with summer all day long, but when it comes to winter, our infrastructure is just not set up in a way that they're prepared for it. So I'm glad that thankfully the utility company here made those repairs to our water main, so we had water this winter. I'm super glad for that because we've had temperatures now that have gotten in like the single digits at night. So I'm really, really happy for that. And I'm hoping that everyone has shelter and all of that to, move through it until these temperatures warm up, which is going to be in like 2 days, which is crazy. And I think this coming week is going to be up to 60 degrees, which is insane. But that's just kind of how erratic Memphis weather tends to be. So, again, I hope y'all are having a very good week. I hope that you all are still blessed and, still living and thriving and exploring life and, taking a chance on yourself and all of that. So I am, I'm really excited for what's to come. Now, this first video that I'll be putting out here soon is going to be me testing out some acrylic markers. So I recently got some acrylic markers. I have been itching to do some traditional work. And so I think that's going to be sort of my step into it. For whatever reason I have a couple of YouTube accounts, but on the family account, my old art videos have been coming up. So like the old acrylic paintings and things like that. And it's been like giving me nostalgia feels out the yin yang. So again, finding all of this stuff just in my closet for me to use to create. It's like I have all the tools right here to create and to make something and to share it and to sell it and whatever else comes out of it. But I have all of that available to me, so I'm really, really excited to kind of explore some of that with you guys. So I am going to be working on that next week. Now, I have the first picture that I'll be doing again will be using some acrylic markers, and I'm going to show you how I approach a new medium. I've never used acrylic markers before. I've seen some really cool things. Hey, Montreal, so happy to see you. I've seen some really, really cool things be created with acrylic markers. I do have some alcohol markers that I use on occasion. I think I was doing some tattoo designs and things like this. So I was using the alcohol markers that I hadn't used in forever. But these acrylic markers I'm excited about because acrylic paints are one of my favorite mediums. So anytime I would do portraits and things like that, which again, you guys can go and explore on this channel. I have years and years worth of acrylic portraits that I had done. Most of them were commissions. So people who would just pay me to paint their portrait or paint the portraits of their loved ones. So I love doing that. So I'm familiar with the acrylic part of it, not so much the marker part of it. So I'm going to show you how I attack, or not even attack, just enjoy having no knowledge of or little knowledge of a specific medium. And I'm going to give myself something that I'm familiar with to draw, which is a self-portrait, right? And maybe tell you a little story about it. So the portrait that I'm going to be drawing, I took in 2018. So I used to have really, really long hair. I mean, talking about down to my butt long hair. I had long locks, right? And I was going to a wedding and I needed to do my hair. And typically what I would do is I would like curl it on pipe cleaners. And so I would roll it up on pipe cleaners and then take it out and it would be real cute and curly, right? That's how I would wear my hair. But when I was going to this wedding, I had to travel to it. So it was out of state. So I was going to an out of state wedding. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna pipe clean. I'm doing pipe cleaners, but this time I'm gonna loop them up because I had seen it on YouTube. I was like, I'm gonna do these lock loops, is what they call them. And so I did them. And when I saw it, I was like, man, I look just like Michael Jackson from The Wiz. I thought it was a cute picture. So I took, cause me being me and being kind of silly sometimes, I took the picture and I sent it to my mama. I was like, "Ma, look like Michael Jackson." So I'm gonna paint that picture that I took. It's a cute picture, super cute picture, and I don't know. It just kind of encapsulated some part of my personality that I would like to share with you guys. So that's the picture that we're gonna be approaching with these acrylic markers, and I'm going to be working on that next week. So when I'll have the video done is whenever I finish the portrait itself. I'm going to try to do it all in one setting. Typically when I would do ink portraits and things like that, the way I would work is I would do a sketch, like in my sketchbook, right? I would do a sketch. That would just be the warm up. Half the time the sketch would not look like the final picture. It was just me loosening up and not necessarily worrying about measurements and things like that. Just kind of drawing what I see just to get familiar with the subject. After that, I would then take my time and sketch the picture or whatever I was drawing on whatever substrate I was using. So if it was canvas, I would draw it on the canvas. If it was paper, because I would do my ink portraits on mixed media paper, so I would just kind of take my time drawing. And whenever I'm drawing a portrait, I'm measuring things, right? So I would hold my pencil out, or my typically a pencil. I would hold it out. I would measure placements of the eyes, the nose, and all of that. Draw it, and the accuracy would be like night and day right between the warm-up sketch and the actual sketch. And then from there I would go ahead and paint. So what I'm going to not show you is the warm-up sketch, which was probably not going to look a whole lot like me, but I will show you guys the sort of drawing. Now I'm not going to because I'm using acrylic markers, I was thinking about doing it on some canvas board, which I have some 6x8 canvas boards. I don't think I'm going to do that. I have this substrate called Gorilla plein air boards, which are they're like chipboard a little bit, but they're a little more flexible. They absorb water extremely well. Even though this is not a water-based medium, and I'll show you. I haven't opened them yet either, so that was gonna be part of it. I was gonna unbox it for you guys. But I have this set of acrylic markers. It is a wet medium. It is not a water-based medium, but it is wet. So I'm really curious to see how it does on that particular substrate. So I'm excited about that. Excited to get back into doing some traditional stuff, just to kind of find that balance. Again, my creativity here lately, and it happens like that, it's been on like overdrive. So sometimes I'll have moments and days where I'm like, ideas are coming in left and right, and then it'll be like a rest period where I may not have as many, and then they'll come back again. So I do know that is something that I would like to share with you guys, just sort of how I approach something new in terms of study, right? We're definitely going to approach those or do some landscape work. I'm going to wait until the weather gets better, because that's something that I'll show you how I study sort of outside as well, like in nature, observing the things that we see out in nature, as well as working from reference. So like actual photo reference, things that you find online. So I would like to take you through that. But I'm excited about that. I was like, let me just pick a subject that I'm super familiar with drawing, right? I'm super familiar with drawing my own face. I've done so many self-portraits. And two, I don't have to worry about like the drawing somebody's face without their permission. I just draw myself. So I'm excited about that. Excited to share that story again, even though for those of you who are watching this live, you've heard it now, but I'll be sharing it as like a little bit of a story time. So, and then also kind of give me a break from being in front of the computer, because I am sitting in front of the computer constantly as I work and things like that. And I'll be in a different space as I work on that portrait. So I am excited about that. Now, if you like the portraits that I create, my books are open. They almost are always open, right? So if you would like to have your portrait painted, if you would like to commission me for a portrait, whether that is for a gift or anything like that, there are going to be some links down in the description. If not, you can always email me or DM me, and I can send you a price list and things like that. We can get that done. I love painting portraits. I feel like outside of the commercial work that I do, outside of the books and the book illustrations and the tarot deck and all of the things that I do commercially, portraits are like one of my favorite things in the world to create. And I think it is such an intimate art form, because you are able to study a person's face, right? And I can read so much in a person's face, and it's just me and them. So a lot of the times what I would do is I would get commissioned to do work for bereavement gifts, right? So for someone who was grieving and who had lost someone, was honored, so deeply honored to be able to create images of people's moms and dads and grandparents and things like that who have passed on, and to be able to sort of hear how they enjoy receiving, like the recipients receiving those mementos of their loved ones, has always been fun. But that is not the only kind of portrait that I do. So again, on this particular channel, there are buku examples. There are so many examples of the portraits that I've created. The acrylic portraits, the India ink portraits, the digital portraits as well. So yeah, I love that. I love being able to do that. And I was like, well, you know what? I told myself I wasn't gonna buy no art supplies after I had found all this stuff that I had found in my closet. But I was like, you know, what artist doesn't hoard art supplies, right? So I was like, let me treat myself. It's been a long time since I had bought anything. Let me treat myself. So I had purchased those acrylic markers. So I'm really excited to see what I can create with those. All right, so let's look and see what we got going on with this card. So again, I'm filling in whatever it is that I see. I'm just kind of filling in light and shadow, and then what I'll do is just to remind myself of how small this is, so I don't get too tangled up in the minutia of details. I'm going to zoom out and see if I need to make anything sharper or less sharp, you know, blur things out and all of that, and then we'll continue to work from there. So yeah, I'm excited. I really want to see that. For those of you who are artists, I really would love to see you guys' artwork as well. There's a community tab that you're welcome to share to. So if you're watching this and you would like to kind of share the things that you are creating, share some of your goals and things like that, you're more than welcome to go to this channel and participate in that as well. I do try to put up some things on the community tab. So for instance, I'll put up like the work in progress pieces for the different cards that I'm working on. But as we kind of get into other subject matter in terms of the artwork, I'll share a lot of that there as well. And I'll probably get back active on Instagram. I have not been on, like, I use Instagram primarily to like send reels back and forth. So I do use Instagram. I'm not on it as often as I used to be. I certainly do not post as often as I used to many years ago, and I know a lot of you guys found me through Instagram. So I'll kind of get back into that here in a bit, just to sort of have a space for those of you who like just the static images. I'll share some of that there as well. So yeah, we got some things brewing in 2026. I do feel a whole lot better than I did at the beginning of this year, child. I was really kind of going through it. I'm glad that I've gone through it. I'm glad that it passed, and we're sort of back in positive spirits and in positive and healthier space. Very, very happy for that. So if you are sort of want to share some of your artwork with me, I would love to see it. You guys can DM me, you can email me. If you would like an artist critique, I would love to do that as well. If you'd like some kind of pointers of how to improve, if you like, you know, if I can help you in that, I would love to do that as well. I've seen some people do like paint overs where their subscribers, or I guess their followers and things like that, the people who are in their community, will send them art, and then they'll kind of ask to improve it, or like ask how they can like improve it, and then they'll paint over it and show. I would love to do some of that. So if you have something that you would like, or you kind of stuck on, maybe you're not really sure how to move forward in it, I would love to show you how I would approach it, and maybe do a paint over just to kind of help you guys out. Those of you who are learning and studying to be artists and things like that, I would love to share and have you, you know, and just share that experience with you. So we'll see how it goes. We're in February again. Happy Black History Month. Again, if you would love to support a Black artist, there are all kinds of links down in the description as to how you can do that. But the number one way that you can support me right now, if you ain't buying nothing, right, it's just to spread the word, right? Let people know that you enjoy the art. Let people know, what I do, and especially if you think that those people will enjoy it and use it, and just sort of love to be a part of this community that we're growing, right? All right, so I'm not gonna hold you guys up too long. We ain't even been an hour. I feel like it's been a whole lot longer than that, but I'm not gonna hold you up too long. I'm probably gonna work on this some more this evening, but I would like to zoom out. I guess you guys can see it a little bit more. I'm looking at what you guys can see now. So I'm of course like this close to the screen as I am working on this card. But I'll zoom out and just remind you of what this card looks like and the amount of work that has gone into it so far. Now, this card again is a card of grief. This is the Five of Cups. Now, our main subject is paying a whole lot of attention to these 3 spilled cups. Something that's already happened, right? The spilled milk. She's crying over spilled milk, right? That's a great way to approach this thing. But she's in grief. She's kind of consumed by it. She's kind of in it. She's down in it. She's very close to the accident that has happened in her reality, right? But all our main character has to do is to stand up. Now, if she stands up, if she changes her perspective, if she changes her point of view, she will have access to all of this wealth behind this counter, right? She has 2 cups that are full, right? These 2 cups that are sitting on the countertop, they're full. He also has symbols of fertility and symbols of wealth and prosperity, symbols of peace and evolution and expansion, and all of that is available to her if she changes her point of view. So that is the story that we're telling here with the 5 of Cups. And I'm really, really excited for how it's coming together. Now, we have a lot of things complete. We have a lot of things, still have a lot of work left to do. So even with our items that are complete, and I'll zoom in on those so you guys can get a good idea. We started with the spheres. Now this one to me is something that I had found. I knew that I wanted to have something like this in this image. So when I went looking for references, I was looking for home decor. I have our fish and coins, which of course is a symbol of prosperity that is completed. This one I finished up this past Wednesday. So if you guys like a chill live stream, the Bring Your Own Project lives are the space for that. And it looks like it's going to start auto saving here. There it is. Hopefully it won't take long so I can show you the rest. Now I also brought in the cups from the 2 of Cups just so that it saved me some time, so I don't have to redraw and repaint new cups and things like that. I already have it done, so that helps me out a whole lot. Again, I have the goal of completing 15 cards, so anywhere I can kind of shortcut where I still have a great bit of quality in the artwork, I'm going to take that shortcut, right? So there was really no need for me to redraw any of the cups because I had cups already done and I just needed to place them around. Now of course I pulled them straight from the 2 of Cups, so I will have to do some tweaks to them so that they fit this particular scene. But the fish is one that we did on Wednesday, and so we'll work on the cups as we move forward. Now last Sunday we worked on the Buddha statue. I'll turn off the sketch here so you guys can have an idea of what that looks like without the safety of the lines. Now, I felt like Buddha needed some help, right? I felt like this particular square needed some greenery. So what I did was I went over to my Queen of Pentacles. The pink Queen of Pentacles is a card I spent a whole lot of time drawing the foliage for. And I've actually used the leaves and the plants and things like that from that particular card. Quite a few cards. I placed some, I think, in the 2 of Wands as well. So we'll see that there will be all kinds of continuity and overlap and things like that as these cards shape up and progress. And again, we did, or also I should say, not again, I created the fertility statue, which I'll take the sketch off again so you guys can kind of see what that looks like. I like how this looks. I don't know why. It reminds me of there's a movie called Kirikou and the Sorceress, and in that they had these like little fetishes that ran around. They were like they had the souls of the men who had disappeared from the village, and this reminds me of that. But this is a fertility statue. So again, all our main character has to do is stand up, right? All she has to do is change her perspective. And then this is the vase that we're working on today. Now I'll continue to work on this later on this evening. I'm going to warm up a bit because I've gotten cold. So I'm going to finish working on that so that by the time we get back here next Sunday, we should have some more aspects and elements of this card completed so we can go on and get it done and get to the next one. So I really, really love how this is shaping up. I really, really love sort of the lean in to visual storytelling. Now, when it was time for me to create the major arcana cards, that wasn't really something that I was too deliberate about, right? The visual storytelling, because those are archetypes. So I wanted them to have big energy. I wanted them to feel like gods and goddesses and things like that when it came to the major arcana cards, because those represent major life shifts and things like that. When we get into these minor arcana cards, again, that is your four suits, your pentacles, your cups, your swords, and your wands. That goes from ace to king, just like playing cards. Those deal a lot more with your day-to-day, everyday situations. So that gives me a little more room and a little more sort of space to play with storytelling, right? So anytime I can give my characters a backstory, anytime I can give the scene a backstory, I feel like that, to me, adds to the cards, and it kind of fleshes things out really nicely. So without further ado, if you like a chill live stream, please join me on Wednesday at 12:45 p.m. Central Standard Time for Bring Your Own Project Live. Again, I just want to say this out loud again. Right? One of the ways that you can support me in this channel is just to spread the word about me and this channel, about this project, about the art that I create, about whatever it is that you like on B. Lewis Arts. Whatever you like, spreading the word about that helps me out a whole lot. If you would like to have your portrait painted, or if you have a project that you think I would be a great fit for, be sure to email me. You can DM me and then we can go from there. DM me. I am very active on Instagram in the DMs. You can, I think, DM me on Threads. Facebook, I am a little bit slower to get to. I just don't see it as frequently. But there are also going to be some links down in the description as to how you can reach out to me if there is a project that you think I would be a great fit for commercially, or if you would like to have a portrait commissioned in that realm, because I'm going to be showing you guys here soon some of how I work in that arena, right? So if you would like to purchase some custom artwork and things like that, please do let me know. There's also a shop where you can get posters and canvas prints and journals and things like that. So I'm happy to have you guys here, whether you're watching this live or the replay. I really appreciate you for being here, and I hope to see you guys Wednesday for Bring Your Own Project. Until next time, I'll see you later. Peace.